Welcome to the course Design of Reinforced Concrete Structures. Myself S. Krantavijaya, working as Assistant Professor in the Department of Civil Engineering. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss the topics beams and the types of beams. So, first let's get started with the definition of a beam. So, what is a beam? A beam is a horizontal structural member. Here I am considering a simply supported beam. So, what is a beam? A beam is a horizontal structural member which is meant for resisting the loads which are acting on it. So, what is a beam? A beam is a horizontal structural element. So, which is meant for what? Which is meant for resisting the loads which is acting on it. Now, for what beams are generally used? So, beams are generally used to carry the vertical as well as the horizontal loads, and then those loads were transferred to the columns. So, what are the vertical and horizontal loads which are acting on the beam? Let us see now. So, the vertical loads which are acting on the beam can be the self weight of beam, the weight of slab, and it might be the live loads or the imposed loads which are acting. So, these will be the vertical loads which will be acting on the beam, that is the self weight of the beam and the weight of the slabs as well as the live loads. All these loads comes under the vertical loads acting on the beam. And what will be the horizontal loads acting? The horizontal loads can be the wind loads and they can be the earthquake loads. These can be the horizontal loads which are acting on the beams. So, the beam is meant for carrying all the loads which are acting on it, and it will safely transfer all the loads onto the columns, and all the loads are transferred onto the columns, and subsequently from the columns the loads will be transferred to the foundations. Now, let us see the types of beams. The types of beams. The beams are classified based on, first we will see the classification based on the materials used. So, based on the materials used, the beams are classified as, we have wooden beams, we have RCC beams, and we have steel beams. So, these are the classification of beams based on the materials used. We have wooden beams, we have RCC beams, and we have steel beams. Now, let us see the types of beams based on the shape of their cross section. So, if you take a beam and if you take a section, at that particular section, based on the shape of that cross section, what are the types of beams we have? We have rectangular beams. So, what is a rectangular beam? Rectangular beam in the sense is a beam in which the cross section, the shape of the cross section will be rectangle. You can see it over here. So, what is the shape which is present here? It is rectangular shape, which we most commonly see. And the next is a T-beam. So, what is a T-beam? The shape of this particular beam is T-shape. So, such kind of beams. So, if in a beam, if you take a section, if the shape of the particular cross section is T, then such kind of beams are called as T-beams. And L-beams. So, if you see, the shape of this particular beam is an L shape. So, what is a L-beam? In cross section, if the shape is L, then it is called as an L-beam. So, most of the cases you might have seen the rectangular beams, but you might have not seen the T-beams and L-beams. So, where do these T-beams and L-beams appear, or where can you see these T-beams and L-beams? So, T-beams and L-beams are seen in the structure when the slabs as well as the beams are casted monolithically. For example, if you are constructing a building, so while casting, what you will do? The beams as well as the slabs are casted together, that is, they are casted monolithically at the same time. So, during that due to that, what happens? You will see the T-beams and the L-beams, that is, the beams as well as the slabs are casted at the same time. Due to that, what happens? The slab part, that is the topmost part of the beam, that is the slab is acting at the topmost part of the beam. So, the T-beams and L-beams, where you can see the T and L-beams when the slabs and beams are casted monolithically. So, when slabs and beams are casted monolithically, the top part of the beam, that is a small part of the slab, will act together with the beam. So, in such kind of cases, if you take a section, all the intermediate beams will look like a T-beam and all the beams at the ends will be like a L-beam. So, in such monolithical castings of beam as well as the slab which is done together, you can see the T and L beams. Now, the classifications of beams based on the type of supporting systems. So, this one you have already learned in your strength of materials. So, what are the classification we have? Simply supported beams. So, what is a simply supported beam? It is a beam which is supported at both the ends. It is simply supported at both the ends. On one end you are going to have a hinged support and the other end you are going to have the roller support. And you have fixed beams. So, what is a fixed beam? A fixed beam is a beam in which both the ends are fixed. The next is a cantilever beam. So, what is a cantilever beam? A cantilever beam is a beam in which one end is fixed and the other end is free. Next is the continuous beams. So, what is a continuous beam? A beam which has more than two supports is called as a continuous beam. So, you can see here you have more than two supports, you have four supports over here. So, such a kind of beam is called as a continuous beam. And the next one is overhanging beam. So, what is an overhanging beam? A overhanging beam is a beam in which the ends, okay, the supports, that is the beam will be extending or the span of the beam will be beyond the supports either at one end or either at both the ends. So, here if you see the overhanging beam here, what you can see, that is the span of the beam, okay, it is beyond the support on one side. So, here you can see, okay, it is such kind of beam is called as a overhanging beam. So, this is the classification of beams based on the type of the supporting systems. Now, we will see the classification of the beams based on the placement of reinforcement. So, Based on the placement of the reinforcement, the beams are classified as singly reinforced beams and doubly reinforced beams. So, first we will see what is meant by a singly reinforced beam. So, a singly reinforced beam is a beam in which the reinforcement is provided only on one side of the beam, that is on the tensile zone. So, first let us see how reinforcement is provided and all with an example. So, here I am considering the example of a simply supported beam. So, first let us draw the simply supported beam. So, here I have considered a simply supported beam. So, if some load W is acting on this simply supported beam, what it will happen? What it will happen to this simply supported beam? Due to the load W, the beam is going to bend. The beam is going to bend like this due to the action of the load. So, what is happening here? As the beam is bending here, the topmost part of the beam is under compression and the bottommost part of the beam is in tension. What? The topmost part of the beam is under compression, that is you can see it is being compressed, and the bottommost part of the beam is, what is happening? It is under tension. So, what is a singly reinforced beam? So, in a singly reinforced beam, the reinforcement is placed in the tensile zone of the beam. So, for this particular simply supported beam, so what is the tensile zone? This part is the tensile zone. For suppose if this is the neutral axis, okay, if this is the axis. So, this part is going to be the tensile zone. So, what? The reinforcement is provided in the tensile zone. So, if the reinforcement is provided in the tensile zone, then such a kind of beam is called as a singly reinforced beam. That is, the reinforcement is provided only on the one side of the beam. So, if I will take a section somewhere over here, for suppose here if I take a section A, okay, then let me draw the section of a singly reinforced beam. So, what will be the section? How it will be? So, this will be the breadth or the width of the beam, and this is going to be the overall depth, that is D of the beam. And what I have told you, that the reinforcement is provided in the tensile zone. So, here I am going to provide the reinforcement. For suppose 3 number of bars are provided here. So, I am going to draw 3 bars, and this particular depth, that is the distance from the topmost compression fiber to the center of the reinforcement, is called as D. D here is nothing but the effective depth. So, this is a singly reinforced beam section which I have taken in this particular simply supported beam. So, what you can see here? You can see that the reinforcement is provided in the tensile zone, that is only on one side of the beam, that is in the tensile zone the reinforcement is provided. So, such a kind of beam is called as a singly reinforced beam. So, this is how a singly reinforced beam will look like. So, if you can see here, so if this is the beam, So, the reinforcement, this is the compression zone and this is going to be the tensile zone, and the reinforcement is provided in the tensile zone. So, such a kind of beam is called as a singly reinforced beam. So, now let me take another example of a cantilevered beam and explain you regarding the singly reinforced beam. So, here what I am doing is, I am considering a cantilever beam. So, what is a cantilever beam? A cantilever beam is a beam which is fixed at one end and it is free at the other end. If suppose if some load W is acting on this particular cantilever beam. So, how this beam behaves? This particular beam is going to bend like this. So, what is happening here? The topmost part of this particular beam is in tension and the bottommost part of this particular beam is in compression. But it is not the same case in simply supported beam. So, in a simply supported beam, the topmost part is under compression and the bottommost part is under tension. Now, in a cantilever beam, the topmost part is in tension and the bottommost part is in compression. So, what is a singly reinforced beam? A singly reinforced beam is a beam in which the reinforcement is provided in the tensile zone. So, what you have to do here? The reinforcement should be provided in the tensile zone. That is, the reinforcement should be provided here. For suppose somewhere if I will take a section, what will be the section? How it look like? This will be the breadth, this is going to be the depth, and the reinforcement is provided here at the topmost, that is on the tensile zone. So, singly reinforced beam is a beam in which you are going to provide the reinforcement in the tensile zone. Now, let us move on to the next type of beam based on the placement of reinforcement. So, it is a doubly reinforced beam. So, what is a doubly reinforced beam? A doubly reinforced beam is a beam in which the reinforcement is provided both in tensile zone as well as the compression zone. That is, if you see this particular beam, you can see. So, this is a beam. In this particular beam, you can see the reinforcement, it is provided both in the compression zone as well as in the tensile zone. So, a beam in which the reinforcement, if it is provided both in the compression zone as well as the tensile zone, then such a kind of beam is called as a doubly reinforced beam. So, why reinforcement is provided both in the compression zone as well as the tensile zone? So, if the moment which has to be carried, if it is more, and if you have restricted the depth of the beam, in such kind of cases, you have to go for a doubly reinforced beam. So, for example, if you are considering a singly reinforced beam. So, in singly reinforced beam, what we have reinforcement only on the tensile zone, provided in the tensile zone. If that particular singly reinforced beam, if it has to resist more moment or if it has to carry more moment, then what? You have to increase the depth of the beam. So, if you do not want to increase the depth of the beam, that is if you have restricted the depth of the beam, in such kind of cases, you have to provide some additional reinforcement so that the moments can be resisted. So, in such kind of cases, the additional reinforcement is provided in the compression zone. So, that is a doubly reinforced beam. So, in a doubly reinforced beam, you are going to provide the reinforcement in the compression zone as well as the tensile zone. So, if this is the beam and I have taken a section over here. So, let me draw the section of a doubly reinforced beam. So, if I will draw the section here, how will it look like? This will be the width or the breadth of the beam. This is going to be your overall depth. So, here what in a doubly reinforced beam we have provided the reinforcement in the compression zone as well as in the tensile zone. So, how many reinforcements you can see here? You can see 3 reinforcements which are provided in the compression zone and 3 reinforcement provided in the tensile zone. So, what will be this distance? The distance from the topmost compression fiber to the center of the compression steel will be d dash, and the distance from the topmost compression fiber to the center of the tensile steel will be d, that is the effective depth. So, this is the cross section of a doubly reinforced beam. So, these are the 2 types of beams based on the placement of the reinforcement. So, now let us see what is the need of designing a beam. So, as beam is playing a very vital role in RCC structures, you have to design a beam so that it can withstand all the forces which is acting on it without failing. So, whenever you are designing a beam, what? You have to design the beam in such a way so that for a sufficient amount of period, that particular beam will withstand or it can resist all the loads which are acting on it without causing any discomfort to the users, that is without showing any signs of deflection or cracking and without collapsing, that is without the failure. So, how you have to design? So, for designing a beam, you have to use certain code of practice. So, what is the code of practice which are used for designing? It is IS 456-2000. By using the code IS 456-2000, we are going to design the beams in our next sessions. So, what is the code? The code of practice what we are going to use is IS 456-2000. So, by using this particular code, we are going to design the beam in the further sessions. Now, before designing a beam, first thing what we have to do is we have to analyze the beams. So, analyzing in the sense is what? Finding out the moment carrying capacity of that particular beam. So, first let us start with what is meant by analysis and design. So, this analysis and design is applicable for all type of beams, whether it might be a singly reinforced beam or whether it might be a doubly reinforced beam. So, first we will start with the analysis and design of singly reinforced beams. So, now we will see what is meant by analysis and as well as what is meant by design. So, analysis. So, what is meant by analysis? For a given section, that is, if a section is given and for that particular section, if the breadth or the width of the section, if it is given, and if the depth d is given, and if the area of the steel reinforcement, it is denoted by AST, if it is given, and if the grade of the concrete, that is FCK, is given, and the grade of the steel Fy is given. What you have to do in analysis is, you have to calculate or you have to find out the moment carrying capacity of this particular section. What you have to do? You have to calculate the moment carrying capacity of the particular section. That is, how much moment that particular section of given dimensions and given area of steel and given grade of concrete and grade of steel, that particular section, how much moment it is going to carry is what you are going to find out in the analysis. Now we will see what is meant by the design. So what is a design? Design in the sense, for a given beam of load. Now we will see what is meant by design. So what is a design? So design in the sense, for a given load and given grade of concrete and grade of steel, we have to calculate the breadth of the section, depth of the beam, and as well as the area of the steel has to be calculated. That is, in design, what you are going to do, if the load is given, that is the load which will act on that particular beam will be given, and what should be the grade of the concrete, that is the FCK will be given, and the grade of the steel, that is Fy will be given. If all these were given, you have to design a beam section, that is you have to find out the cross sectional dimensions, that is the B and to D has to be found out, and you have to find out the area of the steel. Area of the steel in the sense it is AST. Area of the steel has to be found out. The diameter and the number of bars which are required for the section is also to be found out from the area of steel. So the diameter is D, okay, for the reinforcement bars, and the number of bars is N. So all these parameters has to be calculated while designing, or all these things has to be found out while designing for a given load and given grade of concrete and grade of steel. So this is applicable to the doubly reinforced beams as well as the flanged beams, which you are going to learn in your future sessions, in the next sessions. So in the next session, we are going to see the derivation for the analysis of singly reinforced beams. That is, we are going to find out an equation for calculating the moment carrying capacity for a given section. Thank you.